Hello, my name is Matthias Kavodiak. Welcome guys to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the Sentry and basically how Brian Michael Bendis got the Sentry into the main Marvel universe. There was a Sentry miniseries prior to this, but I'm not sure how canon it was because it doesn't tie in too well to where we find the Sentry during the new Avengers run. Backstory, even though Brian Michael Bendis is pretty notorious of not giving a shit about canon. And so Sentry popped up first during that big jailbreak in the first story arc. That was really awesome. He ripped Carnage in two. That was really hardcore. And Bendis really sets up Sentry to be a real kick-ass character, super interesting. We learned later on this particular story arc that Sentry, for every good deed he does, something bad happens because the Sentry is tied to the void. That's what we discovered in the Sentry miniseries. That, again, I'm not sure if it was canon or not. So we have Iron Man. He has a reunion with the members of the Illuminati. I'm not sure, but this might be the first time we actually see the Illuminati getting together. Each one are like the big leaders of important parts of the Marvel universe. Doctor Strange, part of Magic. Mr. Fantastic, he will be the character very tied to science, the universe, other dimensions, and stuff like that. Xavier, he's obviously one of the big leaders within the mutant community. Black Bolt, the leader of the Inhumans. Namor, the leader of the Atlanteans. Tony Stark, he's going to be the big leader of the Avengers. And basically, he gives the team, the Illuminati, big rundown. Guys, I'm restarting the Avengers, even though we very recently disbanded them. The world needs Avengers. We're not going to operate out of Avengers Mansion. I got a new tower in the middle of New York City. And Bendis really, the banter between all the characters, it's really good. Like, there's an exchange between Reed Richards and Tony that there should be a superhero team in Chicago. And this particular writer, or he really kills it. Like, during this time, he could do no wrong, or he does a terrible job. And I've mentioned many times, I really didn't like what he did on X-Men or on Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, he was very hit and miss on Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, if you haven't read New Avengers from the early 2000s, or mid 2000s actually, I think it came out in 2004, around there. Who cares? Read it. It's really good. So while Tony's having that chat, we have the new Avengers hunting down all the villains that had escaped from that big jailbreak. So I remember when this came out, it took a while for me to get used to seeing Wolverine on the Avengers. I really didn't like it at first, or having Spider-Man or Luke Cage or Spider-Woman. Like, those are really weird choices. But now I think they're awesome. Legacy Avengers, I think Bendis really took a lot of heat for this, but it really paid off. Like, I like Wolverine more on the Avengers than on the X-Men as of late. Spider-Man really fits in on the team, even though he's always been written like a loner. Luke Cage is really awesome too. So they're dealing with the Wrecker. There's a really great part where you actually get to see how each of these characters start to learn how to work with each other and work as a team, and how Spider-Man has these weird pheromone powers. All of her teammates were sort of freaking out because they were also being affected by her pheromones. So let's get back to Sentry. Sentry, after ripping Carnage in two during that jailbreak, found hiding in this cave. He's approached by Captain America and Iron Man. They want to know what's his situation, how they can help him. Where did he come from? Find Paul Jenkins, the comic book writer. He's a character in this story that he was actually writing Sentry comic stories. Like, within the Marvel universe, it was thought that Sentry was a comic book character. Also, his wife was looking for him. He had gone missing. He actually checked himself into the prison. So, again, read this. This story is really good. I love the concept of Sentry. There's a couple of really good story arcs with Sentry in them, especially the Siege of Asgard. That's freaking hardcore. There was also another Sentry miniseries. Both Sentry miniseries, really good. Also, during the Uncanny Avengers, the Sentry that we get there, also really awesome. But outside of that, like, he was really overpowered, and like in every story, they would just mess with his mind. He was like very weak-minded, and he would freak out and fly away. and I felt like it was just way that was used way too often, and I really feel that he has a lot more potential as a character in general. So, summarizing very briefly what takes place from New Avengers issue 7 to, I don't remember, let's go back, it's 7 to 10, is that we discover that Sentry, he's approached by every single superhero. Like, they realize he's crazy powerful, and they're dealing with the Void because the Void attacks because it's a mess. I'm doing this all out of order. But what's happening is Tony took White Queen, her telepathic powers. She goes into Sentry's mind. Bob, I think it was Bob Reynolds, was his alter ego. They go into his mind to try to understand why he doesn't want to be a superhero anymore. Why did everyone forget about him? While this is happening, his like defense mechanism is the Void, and he's attacking all the superheroes while the White Queen tries to dig deeper and deeper, and discover why did everyone forget about what seemingly was the greatest hero ever, obviously the equivalent of Marvel's Superman. And what they discover is that, again, Bendis loves really obscure characters. The main villain to Sentry, who is this guy called the General, very unimaginative, actually contracts Mastermind. He actually messes with Sentry's mind, and Sentry's has like also telepathic powers. And basically, with his mind, his illusion powers, he makes everyone forget the existence of the Sentry, and the Sentry actually even forgets he's a hero. He just disappears. It's so freaking awesome. And this will also tie Sentry and the White Queen together. That we're going to see further down the line. This also pays some dividends. So basically, White Queen's able to cure Sentry for the most part because he's very mentally unbalanced. He's back as a hero. Also, we discover that Stark Towers was actually Sentry's original base. Another thing I gotta say is the art. I really love it. The art's done by Steve McNieve and David Finch. Both kill it. And it just really, going back and rereading these issues, I remember how, at first, I didn't like how Bendis was really, really rocking the boat. He was going for really interesting stuff, and now I think it was really awesome. He took a lot of risks, and maybe some risks that you don't see too often nowadays in storytelling wise. Like this was he was going out there with this Sentry story, and again, it really worked. So see you guys next time. Bye.